I'm Mark Robertson back with you talking about my book, Carrying Lawn Chairs, Youth Sports and Other Parental Mindsets. Talked about a lot of subjects. The first part of the book dealt with parents and youth sports and what I think about it and how I have problems with organized youth sports. And I wouldn't put a very young child in youth sports. There's no answers to solve the problems for that. It defeats the purpose. I wouldn't put a child in organized youth sports before double figures, age 10, maybe even 12. The second part of the book deals with other topics related to the parent child dynamic. And today's topic and chapter is entitled Words Mean Things. They say the pen is mightier than the sword. So, words directed at young people have a great effect on them, and it stays with them whether they're negative or positive. There is verbal abuse. It stays with kids throughout their lives. They get teased and bullied in school. It's not good. It stays in their systems. Conversely, positive words to kids and uplifting and praising, it is good for the child. It helps their immune system even. It makes them feel better about themselves. And words are darts. They go into their system. They absorb it. They may not even consciously absorb it, but negative thoughts or words directed at children and young people and even older kids, it stays with them and it has negative consequences. Can't think of time where harshly criticizing a child is good. Now, you can do discipline. You can say this is wrong behavior, this is right behavior. But to personally assault a child verbally is never good, in my opinion. It does not do good. It shows that the parent is out of control and they are not disciplining properly. It's never good to harshly criticize a child directly and personally. Now, that doesn't mean parents can't be firm, that they have to set down rules, what's right, what's wrong, why it's right, why it's wrong. It's very simple. I mean, kids have to be taught right and wrong. But again, criticizing, making fun of kids, it sticks with them. It stays in their system. It distorts their view of reality, and it brings harm down the road and in the present time. It makes them feel less confident about themselves. And you say, well, can you overpraise a child? Can you do it too much? Can you give them a false sense of superiority? Probably. It's just common sense to praise a child. Be real, be authentic, mean it. I mean, a child is a precious gift from God. You got to bring out their goodness, their talents. Every child has a genius. Now, that doesn't mean they can't sit in school and they got to learn things that they don't really want to learn. They got to learn the math and the reading and all this. But they need to bring out their genius, and words can do that. Positive words, and the children so need to hear that. And like I say, negative words cause much harm. And kids face rejection, and they're going to face it in the real world. We all do. We face hard times, and the world's crazy a lot of times. And you think, well, if we're just always positively praising our child, will they be able to deal with the real world? Well, I think they will. If they have an authentic upbringing and they know who they are, self-knowledge is very important, like we've talked about in authentic play. You gain that in authentic play. And if you have self-knowledge, you can deal with the world, all the things that it throws at you. And there'll be times you fall down, well, you maybe just get back up. And like I say, you don't want to force a child into areas that they're not meant to be in. I mean, telling them to just never give up, well, maybe they're not supposed to be climbing that ladder. Look at their design. Look at what they're good at, too. And don't just tell them, oh, they're bad at this, they're lazy, they're stupid, they're never going to amount to anything. That, once again, tearing down to build up doesn't work. Using words like that to hope to have a positive outcome never works. And just telling your child that they're lazy and hopes that they become not lazy, even if they weren't. I really don't have, yes, there is laziness and there's sloth, and it's biblical, but a lot of times kids aren't lazy. They're just doing in areas where they're not meant to be in. Now, again, that doesn't mean a child does not keep their room clean, that does not do the dishes, does not take out the trash. There are things like that. But you also have to be aware of where they are meant to be. The education system puts them all in rows in school and teaches them all the same way. Kids learn differently. And so just cutting a child down because they're different or they do things differently, it has lasting consequences, and none of them are good. And I thank you for joining us today. Watch the words you send out to children, or to anybody, actually. It affects adults as well. But words greatly affect children, either positively or negatively. And our words can have a great effect on them. And also, what can have an effect on them is the example. If a child grows up in a family, the family atmosphere, but there's always arguing and chaos, that sticks with them as well. If they hear words directed at the parents, at each other, I mean, that's negative words essentially directed at them as well, because they love their parents and they don't want them to be hurt. So it's a tough situation. Parenting is not easy. Getting along in the world is not easy, but watch the words you send towards your children, and watch the words that your children hear. And like I say, it's not easy. It's not a perfect world, and children can understand that parents aren't perfect. And if parents have a lapse and sometimes get mad at a child or say something bad, they'll understand it, that it's just a tough day for their parents. And if the overall atmosphere is positive, they can deal with that. But if it's negative day after day after day after day, it'll put a drag on the child. It'll have effect on them in the long run, and it won't be a good effect. And so we thank you for joining us today, and we will see you next time.